everybody and welcome to the channel, Bob Sales, this time's next year. So welcome back to the channel, old and new subscribers. In this episode we're going to be talking about the veveverse and what I'm taking with me. This is part 2. But before we start the video, the criteria themselves were in the video for part 1. So please, if you didn't go and watch that video, go watch that now. It may help you understand a bit more. And if you didn't, Chucky may come and eat you.
Hi, I'm Chucky, wanna play?
So I think we'll start today's list off with Tinkerbell, and this version we're going to be talking about is a toadstool Tinkerbell, although we will talk about the lantern another day. So first off, the item itself is absolutely beautiful and the cost price is a low 9 gems. That is cheap as chips. Now there's actually 4,500 editions, but 2,000 still remain unminted in the store. So with this one, there's loads of potential builds for the veveverse. Now you can either display the item with its base and the mushroom itself, or you can sink that into the floor and have Tinkerbell essentially just sat on the floor. Now I do believe the mushrooms and the flowers are a bit overlooked at the minute, and this one can be blown up really well. You can actually place her between multiple walls and make multiple displays at the same time. For me, I chose to enlarge and have the flowers themselves as a background. And rather than waste the figure itself, I chose to have it popping out the roof, leaving the flowers as a main scene below. But that's not all. In the next room, when it's actually enlarged and placed right, you can actually make a rock feature. As you can see by the video, I chose to put my mint 53 Stitch on top of the feature. So essentially, I used her in 3 different ways while using one item. So I'm being cost effective while making the most out of my items. There is plenty of other options and positions with this one, and I believe everyone will want one when it gets to building. Even to build inside the actual item itself, which we know from the beta testers you can actually do. And going inside the actual item itself, the flower effect still remains. So this one is very multi-purpose and very cheap. So moving on, while I'm here, I may as well mention the Predator poster. So I covered this last time, so I won't stay on it too long. But I noticed a really unique jungle netting on the back of the item. After seeing this, a light bulb went off, and my idea was to make a dino playpen using either half of this as a fence or a full gate. And I think you'll agree the effect come out really nice. Also using Tinkerbell's flowers to add to the scene. So the next item we should talk about is the Sesame Street characters. So we'll start this one with Oscar. The animation's always a bonus and it actually talks. The Sesame Street branded items actually have some of the longest, best and smoothest animations on the VV app. In fact, on release, I think this was the longest animation at that time. Now the ones I'm going to be taking with me, I will be taking both the golds, and here's why. So not only are they half price compared to the FAs right now, but they're also secret rares. Right now, Oscar's actually sat at 19 gems, and believe it or not, these actually have great build capabilities. So the obvious one is a bin or trash can.
Oh, I love trash.
There's one in every house, so why not have Oscar in the veveverse? Also, with Oscar, it actually has multiple boxes with a couple of extra items on top. You can also use this collectible for making multiple scenes at the same time. So I actually chose to put 2 boxes through the vault wall. I then shrunk it down and put a Deadpool on it to create its own scene. Now this would 100% be better with Ant-Man or the Wasp hovering around the food items. And again, the idea is pretty simple and anyone could do it. The boxes themselves have great wood effects on the inside, so there is potential for great building capabilities inside that area. Again, building inside the object. Also, the little touches of the added glitz of the silver and gold can only add to the item. Beta testers keep saying how good the gold and silver looks, so that's another reason to pick these items up. In fact, a week ago we did actually find out that the quality of most VV items may be a lot better outside of the mobile restraints. Items like the Platinum Disney Moments look so much better as they were designed rather than what we're seeing now. However, if the veveverse still comes like the demo, what we see, then I can't imagine the graphics being as good as the pics that just come out. On the other hand, if this does happen, the prices are going to go absolutely crazy. And just another bonus point there, I did actually notice that Oscar does actually have legs inside the bin. But let's move on to the Cookie Monster. Now the Cookie Monster does have 5,500 editions, making it higher than the previous. If you're picking between buying the 2, I would personally pick the previous. Of course, over half the editions do remain unminted in the store. This price for the gold variation is 18 gems right. And with this one, it's thinking outside the box time. So you can actually build using the cooker top service. You could also build inside the oven or the attached cupboards. Now as this is animated, when the oven tray's inside and fully blown up, you could potentially build a cookie land base. One of the other builds is literally creating a monster. Enlarge the character, sink it halfway through the floor, place an item where the cooker top would normally be. I chose to place Flaky here, and I believe if you actually made this even bigger, it would actually look amazing. Now as we talked about in the last video, the beta testers did say you could shrink individual properties of the NFTs themselves. They should actually be able to shrink the cooker and enlarge the monster itself. Again, this is going from information inspiration that weren't first hand. And as I mentioned with the other one, the silver and gold just adds to it. The item overall looks great and the animation's perfect and one of the best in sound and quality. Now I did say in my last video I'm taking every Jurassic Park NFT I can get. That brings us to Nedry's computer. There's only 1400 editions and there's only 55 left in store. Current list price for this is 15 gems and it's an ultra rare. Now of course the obvious one is a computer. What veveverse space will be without one? For me personally, I plan to make a Jurassic Park DNA dinosaur type exhibit. From Barstool Can to Mr. DNA to the computer to the dinosaur. Kind of like the short what I just did. Now this one build wise is actually really interesting. You can blow this up and make essentially a cage effect using the inside of the tower. Now I can't exactly get this perfect in the vault, but I believe in the veveverse you would be able to do this with ease. Also when enlarging and placing all the way through the wall and leaving just some exposed, you actually get a metal paneling effect similar to Trump's wall. Also when the keyboard's enlarged itself, it looks really cool. Now one thing you would definitely need for this item is a mute button, which I do believe we do have in the veveverse. And thankfully, because otherwise it may sound like an arcade with all different music, all different noises, all at the same time. A bit hectic. One of the other items we've got to take is Mysterio. He has 2,500 editions and 500 was burned. He is sat at 15 gems in the market and to me is one of the biggest FAs we have as a villain. I actually think this character itself is extremely undervalued. With this one, the head itself has a really neat effect that will definitely have good build capabilities. I think you could literally make a world in it by itself. Another really cool use is the cape. So it actually makes an amazing background by itself and I would highly recommend trying it. Plus it's easy. Now I did mention the snow globes last time, but while building I did actually find you could sink half the globe through the wall and make a nice icy spear. You can then add items to this. Again, this is a good example of not a bad effect and again using one item to do multiple things and doing it with ease. Also the display of the globe itself looks really no different. And when you sink this into the floor, by the way, and get rid of the red base, it actually looks really nice. One of the unexpected things that I didn't know that I had to have was yesterday's drop, the Black Widow nesting doll, also known as Russian doll. Now, this one did cost 30 gems on the box price, and I did do the drop stream yesterday with VV Vault, OG Vault, so damn straight I was buying the item. But this item actually only sold 400, and it's still holding at around 26 gems. Which doesn't surprise me. The only people that went for this items were the ones that wanted to keep it. Now personally I don't like the artwork, but I like the idea. Everyone's been asking for new mediums, this is a new medium. Also if you have a little collection, this one has the potential to show 5 items to display. They do also have the wibble wobble effect, and you will find these in houses all over the world. Now there is potential builds for this one. You could perhaps build inside the actual dolls themselves, but for me this is just a man cave item. A figure in a female art, and it's just a nice niche item. Also only 400 minted so far, so this could make this very rare in the future. That will be all for this episode, but if you would like a third one, let me know. I have other items, other plans. Also I may do a video in the future of what apps, what things you could potentially use to get ready for the veveverse. Until then, go back and watch this short and see how my build's getting on so far. Until the next time folks, I've been your host Bob Sales. This time next year we will be millionaires. A peace.
Hey, try this little guy.
Get rid of it! Get rid of it!
It's fucking Chucky.